Chapter 1. Feed the Dog. I moved into the house on Pinewood Drive in June. Split-level ranch, yellow siding, fresh mulch out front, looked like it had been scraped right off a real estate flyer. My realtor called it turnkey. New appliances, quiet neighborhood, good schools. It checked every box I needed after the divorce. It was too quiet. But I didn't mind that at first. I unpacked in silence, let my brain go soft. No yelling, no shared space, no emotional hostage situation. Just me, a six-pack, and the sound of cicadas in the trees. That's when I noticed the dog. The house next door had been empty for years, according to the neighbors. Foreclosure. Bank-owned. A few busted windows boarded up with plywood, lawn gone feral with weeds. But every night, around 10:30 p.m., I'd hear it, a soft, high-pitched whining through the wall. It wasn't even loud. Barely noticeable. But once I heard it, I couldn't unhear it. Then the scratching started. Just little taps against the shared fence. The sound of claws dragging across wood. Like the dog was pacing back and forth, looking for a weak spot. I figured maybe someone was squatting over there. Maybe they had a pet. I wasn't going to be the asshole who called the cops over a stray. But after a week, I left a bowl of water outside the fence. The next morning it was empty and clean. No mess. No slobber. Just gone. That became a routine. I'd leave out water. Then food, hot dogs at first, then ground beef. I'd wake up and the bowl would be empty and spotless. Not even a bug would touch the spot where it sat. The scratching stopped. The whining didn't. It changed. Now it was deeper. Less frantic. More like anticipation. One night, I tried to catch a glimpse. I sat in a lawn chair just behind my kitchen window and waited. Around 10:30, I heard the low breathing. Something moving in the grass on the other side of the fence. I leaned forward. And the breathing stopped. Dead silence. Then a voice. Low, hoarse, and far too articulate to be human or canine, came from the other side of the fence. You forgot the meat. I didn't sleep that night. Called animal control the next day. Told them I thought a large dog was trapped in the abandoned yard. They sent someone out around noon. I watched from the window as the guy walked the perimeter. Took notes. Knocked on the boarded-up back door. He never even looked at the fence line. Then he left. Said there was no sign of any animals. No droppings. No fur. Not even prints in the soil. Probably just coyotes passing through, he said. But I knew that wasn't it. Because the moment he drove off, I found the bowl sitting neatly in my driveway. Empty. And next to it, drawn in the concrete with some kind of oily black residue, were 3 words. Feed the dog. That night, I didn't leave anything out. I wanted to see what would happen. At exactly 10:30, the whining started. But this time, it escalated, grew deeper, louder, wet and guttural. Something began pacing just outside my back door, claws clicking against the concrete, back and forth. Then it started scratching. Not the fence. My door. Not like a dog. Like fingers. I watched the doorknob turn. I barricaded the door with the kitchen table. Sat with a knife in my lap until the sun came up. Then I opened the back door slowly. The porch was spotless. Except for the knife. It was outside now. Clean. Laid carefully on the welcome mat. I've tried leaving. I really have. Packed a bag. Got in the car. But the moment I turn off Pinewood Drive, the engine stalls. Not just dies, locks up. Everything. Power steering, battery, ignition. Like something reaches inside and cuts the wires. I walked once. Made it 2 miles before the road looped me back to my own driveway. My bull was sitting there, waiting. Now, I feed the dog. Not every night. But when the whining starts, I know it's time. I haven't seen it fully. Just glimpses. A long, low silhouette. Skin that hangs too loose. Eyes that reflect light where there is none. And teeth. Too many for any normal jaw. It waits for me, watches me, and it remembers. One night, I didn't have any meat left. I was broke. Empty fridge. I tried to fake it. Left a bowl of bread soaked in soy sauce. The next morning, I woke up to find my left pinky finger missing. No blood. No pain. Just gone. A clean cut. And the bowl was full again. I've started buying raw beef in bulk. Feeding it keeps things quiet. But it's getting bolder. Last night, I heard it say something new. It was pacing the back door again, claws tapping like keys. And then I heard it whisper, "You taste better than the cow." Chapter 2. The Kid in the Reflection. I didn't know the kid in the mirror. That's not a metaphor. Not grief talking. Not some poetic way to explain a mental breakdown. I mean, I literally didn't recognize the kid looking back at me. The first time it happened, I was brushing my teeth. It was early, 6 a.m. I was late for work, half asleep, hungover. I leaned down to spit, looked back up, and for just a split second, the face in the mirror wasn't mine. It was a boy. Maybe 10 or 11. Pale skin, black hair, buzz short. His eyes were too wide, too blue, too blank. He looked at me. Really looked. Then he blinked, and he was gone. I was staring at myself again. My own bloodshot eyes. My own stubble. I laughed. Shrugged it off. Sleep deprivation. Migraine. Weird lighting. But it kept happening. Only in that one mirror. The old one in the bathroom. Heavy glass. Warped edges. It came with the apartment, and was screwed directly into the wall. I asked my landlord if I could replace it. He said, "That mirror's been there longer than I've been alive. No one touches it." He looked nervous when he said it. Like he wasn't supposed to. The next night, I saw the kid again. This time he didn't disappear right away. He stood there. In my bathroom. On the wrong side of the glass. I waved. He didn't. He just stared. I covered the mirror with a towel. That worked for a while. Then I started seeing him in other reflections. The microwave. Car windows. My laptop screen when it blacked out. Always that same pale kid. Always just watching. Never blinking. Never moving. I started avoiding mirrors. Taped paper over them. Shut off anything reflective. I even turned off the TV. But one night, I fell asleep on the couch. When I woke up, the paper had been peeled off the bathroom mirror. There was something written in the fogged glass. "You left me here." I thought I was losing it. Went to a therapist. She said it sounded like depersonalization. Trauma from childhood. Thing is, I never had trauma like that. No abuse. No neglect. Just normal, boring Midwest upbringing. Catholic guilt, bike rides, backyard sprinklers. Until I called my mom. She didn't pick up. So I tried my aunt. I asked her a weird question. "Did I have a brother?" Silence. Then she said, "You need to talk to your mom." I pressed harder. "Did I?" She sighed. "Not exactly. His name was Evan. He was my twin. Died at age 6. Not from an accident. Not from disease. He disappeared. Vanished from a park one afternoon. Right in front of my mom. She looked away to tie my shoes, looked back, and he was just gone. No trace. No ransom. No scream. I had been there. But I didn't remember it. They said I blocked it out. They said it was better that way. I asked why no one ever told me. My mom broke down and said, "Because we couldn't find him. Because you were the one who said, 'He's hiding in the mirror.'" I drove back to my childhood home the next day. Walked straight into the upstairs bathroom. That mirror was still there. And I swear to God, when I looked into it, I saw 2 kids. Both of us. 6 years old. One smiling. The other screaming. I don't know what I saw back then. I don't know if I pushed him. Trapped him. Imagined it all. But I do know this. Last night, the mirror cracked by itself. And this morning, I found a small, muddy footprint in the bathtub. Not mine. If you ever see someone in the mirror who doesn't belong, don't wave. Don't speak. And for the love of God, don't blink first. Chapter 3. I see you when you sleep. It started with a letter. Not in the mailbox. Not under the door. It was on my pillow. Folded in half, white paper, no envelope. 4 words, written in neat, tight handwriting. I see you sleep. I stared at it for a long time. My first instinct was to blame myself. Maybe I dropped it. Maybe I wrote it when I was half asleep. I even checked my own notebooks for a match in handwriting. Nothing matched. It wasn't mine. And it wasn't a prank. I live alone. I locked the door. No one has a key. I went straight to the front door. Deadbolt? Locked. Chain? Still in place. Windows were closed. Nothing broken. No sign of entry. I tore my bedroom apart. Closet. Under the bed. Inside the vents. I even unscrewed the outlet cover near the floor, thinking maybe. What? Someone stuck a camera in there? A mic? Nothing. I barely slept that night. I left the lights on and a kitchen knife by the bed. Around 2:33 a.m., I must have dozed off. And when I woke up, there was a second note. Same paper. Same ink. You make little sounds when you dream. I called the cops. They walked through the apartment. Didn't find anything. No sign of forced entry. No prints. No hair. No footprints in the snow outside. They took the notes and said they'd check for DNA, but I could tell this wasn't a priority. Probably someone who used to live here, the officer said. Sometimes people hang on to old keys. Try changing the locks. I did. I also bought a motion cam. Set it up in the bedroom. Wide angle. Auto uploads to the cloud. I told myself I'd finally catch whoever it was, prove I wasn't losing my mind. That night I barely moved. Just stared at the ceiling in the dark, camera light blinking quietly in the corner. The next morning, the camera was gone. And in its place, right in the center of my pillow. No cameras. Just sleep. I lost it. Tore through the apartment again. Called the locksmith. Swapped the locks. Barricaded the windows. Slept on the couch with a hammer in my hand. 3 nights passed. No notes. No sign. I started to think maybe they gave up. Maybe they just wanted to scare me. Then came the 4th letter. This one wasn't on my pillow. It was taped to my forehead when I woke up. I could have taken your eyes. I quit my job. I couldn't focus, couldn't leave the apartment for more than 10 minutes. Every creak of the floorboards sounded like breath. Every flicker of the hallway lights looked like movement. I stayed awake for 36 hours straight. Slept with my back to the wall, knife on my chest. No note that night. But when I got up, I saw something written in the dust on my coffee table. I like you better tired. I set up a trap. Threaded fishing line across the hallway, low to the ground. Glass bottle balanced on the door handle. Salt around the bed, some dumb thing I read online about catching footprints. That night I passed out with my phone recording video. It ran for 4 hours. When I watched it the next morning, I nearly threw up. At exactly 3:04 a.m., the door to the bedroom opened. Slowly. Silently. And someone walked in. Not quickly. Not sneakily. Like they belonged there. They stood at the foot of the bed for exactly 11 minutes. Then they leaned forward, just barely into frame. And smiled. I went to the cops again. They told me I must have faked it. There was no forced entry. No trace of anyone else. And when I showed them the video, they said the file was corrupted, just static and audio hiss. It worked fine on my phone. But when I played it in their office? Nothing. Just a black screen. I moved out. Threw everything away. Mattress. sheets, all my clothes. I even shaved my head. Something about the thought of him touching me in my sleep made my skin crawl. I rented a room on the other side of town. New place. New locks. Different everything. But the second morning I woke up, there was a note on the pillow. Neat, tight handwriting. Found you. Chapter 4. The Yellow House. Wilcox Street wasn't on most maps. Technically it was listed, but only half of it. The other half, what people called the dead end, was more like a ghost limb. The road cracked into gravel past house number 213, and what came after that was just silence. 5 houses sat beyond that gravel. 4 of them were burned-out husks, all black mold and busted windows. The 5th was a little yellow house with white shutters and perfect siding. People called it the clean one, and no one in the neighborhood had ever seen anyone go in or come out. Jace worked for Detroit Water and Sewerage, entry-level field tech. His job was checking meters, crawling under porches, unlocking rusted hatches behind homes most people had forgotten existed. When he got the work order for 217 Wilcox, he had to squint at the clipboard. Thought that was a demo zone, he said. His boss shrugged. I dunno, maybe they're restoring it. Just log the reading. Jace drove out there on a Tuesday morning, 9:45 a.m. sun out. Nothing weird. Just rows of boarded windows and garbage bags piled like sandbags along chain-link fences. He passed 213 Wilcox, where the road should have ended. But there it was. Just like the paperwork said. 217 Wilcox. Yellow paint. White trim. Lawn freshly cut. The house was spotless. Too clean. No dust. No spiderwebs. No rust on the hinges. It looked like it had been painted yesterday. Jace rang the bell. No answer. He shrugged and walked around back. The meter was built into the house's foundation, half buried in gravel. That was weird, but not the weirdest thing. The cover wasn't metal. It looked like bone. He knocked on it once. It vibrated. He lifted the lid and checked the readout. Then he blinked. The dial was spinning backwards. Jace went to leave but paused when he saw a figure standing inside the house, just behind the curtain. It was a woman. Pale. Thin. Long hair. She didn't move. Didn't blink. Just watched. Jace gave a half-wave and walked back toward the truck. But when he looked again, she was outside the house, standing by the back fence. No sound. No movement. Still staring. Jace didn't tell anyone at first. He chalked it up to stress, lack of sleep. But that night, he dreamed of the house. Of the windows breathing. Of the shutters blinking like eyelids. Of the bone meter ticking like a clock. And in the dream, someone whispered, "You read it. Now it reads you." The next morning, Jace didn't show up for work. He didn't answer his phone. Didn't return calls. His apartment was locked from the inside, keys on the table, phone charging, wallet on the dresser. Gone. The last GPS ping from his work truck? 217 Wilcox. A week later, a second tech was sent to recheck the meter. They never returned either. This time, the truck was left parked neatly in front of the house. Doors closed. Engine off. The clipboard with the work order was found on the porch. Across it, scribbled in thick red marker, were 3 words. Do not enter. The city pulled the address from the system. But every few months, someone new finds the house. A real estate app listed for sale at $1. Zillow places it in the wrong zip code but still shows interior photos. Photos that flicker and distort the longer you look. And the house keeps appearing on mail routes. On survey maps. In satellite images. Always clean. Always empty. But if you knock, if you step inside, you don't come out. You become part of the clean. Some say the house isn't a place. It's a trap. A memory that eats. You walk into it thinking it's real. And when you realize it's watching you, It's already inside your head. Chapter 5. He follows everyone in the group chat. They called the group chat Night Rats. 7 of them. College friends. Former roommates. Now scattered across different cities, states, time zones. But they never stopped checking in. Memes, voice notes, dumb questions at 2 a.m., like a digital campfire that stayed lit even when their real lives didn't. It was the one thing that kept them from drifting. That's what made it feel so intimate. That's what made it so easy for him to slip in. It was Carmen who noticed first. "Who's at Flatline _87? She messaged. "Anyone add someone new?" The others scrolled. The name was there. Profile pic, totally blank. No icon, no description. No message history. Nobody remembered adding them. Nobody knew how they got there. But the app didn't show an added by log. And when they tried to remove the account, the screen blinked. Froze. Then the name reappeared at the bottom. Still there. Silent. Watching. That's when the typing started. 3 dots. Then nothing. Again. And again. Late at night. Only between 3 o'clock and 3:30 a.m. It would sit there, those 3 bouncing dots, like it was waiting. Like it was studying their rhythm. Then finally it sent a message. "I like how you laugh, Carmen." At first they laughed it off. Probably a glitch. Some overlapping account from one of their other group threads. Maybe a troll. But Carmen messaged the group in a voice note at 4 a.m., voice trembling. "I had my AirPods in earlier, watching Netflix, and I laughed during a stand-up set. I was home alone, and I swear I heard someone else laugh behind me. Like it was coming through my phone's speaker too." That's when the panic started. All 7 of them changed their passwords. Their phones. One even factory reset their device. It didn't matter. Every night, more messages came. Each one more specific. More personal. "Your hallway light's flickering, Ethan. Might want to check the wiring. Don't take that left, Lucas." The guy in the red hoodie's not following the Uber. He's waiting. Maggie's going to call her mom at 11:47. She'll lie. She's not okay. They were never wrong. And then people started disappearing. First was Ethan. Last message he sent. He's at the window. Cops said his apartment showed no signs of forced entry. No blood. No prints. No clues. Phone gone. Laptop open. Group chat still active. At Flatline _87 was typing. Next was Maggie. She messaged a blurry photo, selfie angle, extreme close-up of her terrified face. Her reflection in the phone screen showed someone standing behind her. No one recognized the man. When police recovered her phone, it had been tossed into a river. Waterlogged but still powered on. Still logged into the group chat. The last text from at Flatline _87 was 3 words. Stop looking back. The survivors grew paranoid. They met in person. Tried to figure out how someone could be tracking all of them. Maybe a hacker, someone with access to their cloud accounts. They made a new chat. Left the old one. But a week later, the new thread got a message from a blank profile. You always come back to me. One by one they did. Carmen stayed up for days. Eyes bloodshot. Mirrors covered. Laptop taped over. Phone off at night. Didn't matter. He came anyway. The night she vanished, the chat received a voice message. Just 7 seconds of heavy breathing. At the very end, a quiet whisper. You left the camera on. Now it's just 2 left. Lucas and Jamie. They keep the chat muted. Never reply. But they don't leave either. They can't. Because the moment you try, you get a new message. And it always knows exactly where you are. If you're reading this and you're in a group chat that doesn't feel quite right, check the member list. Count the names. Watch the typing bubble. And if you ever get a message that says, don't turn around, it's already too late. Chapter 6. The girl who lived in the static. Micah was 10 when they moved into the trailer. His mom said it was just temporary. A new start after the split. She said they'd save up and get a real place with a porch and a yard. But winters came fast in Arkansas, and before they knew it, 1 year turned into 3. The place was quiet. Too quiet. No neighbors for miles. Just thick woods, frostbitten fields, and a TV that only got 2 channels when the wind was right. Micah spent most nights wrapped in a blanket, flipping between reruns and snow. He liked the static. It felt like company. The first time she appeared, it was on Channel 4. He was flipping through after midnight when the screen went black, then snapped to something in between channels, just barely visible under the white fuzz. It was a room. Just a plain room. Child-sized bed. Toys. A rocking horse in the corner. The camera was still, like it was a live feed from a hidden camera. Micah leaned forward. A girl stepped into view. She looked around 7. Thin. Pale. Dressed in a nightgown. She stood facing the TV, unmoving, eyes locked straight ahead. Then she raised one hand. And waved. Micah called for his mom. But by the time she shuffled out in her robe, the screen was just static again. He got grounded for lying for attention. Over the next month, it kept happening. Always Channel 4. Always after 12:30 a.m. The girl never spoke. Never moved much. Sometimes she sat on the bed and brushed her hair. Sometimes she curled up in the corner and cried silently. Micah started recording it on VHS. But every time he played the tapes back, it was just static. No room. No girl. Just snow. Then came the night he saw his name written on the wall behind her. Just barely visible. Scratched into the drywall with something sharp. Micah. He told his mom again. She smacked him hard enough to split his lip. Said she was done with the stories. Done with the weird shit he picked up from his father. That night, the girl on Channel 4 pressed her hand to the screen. When Micah did the same, he swore it got warm. By mid-January, she was mouthing words. No sound. Just movement of lips. Same phrase over and over. It hurts. Come here. It hurts. Come here. He copied it into his school notebook. The counselor called his mom. They recommended evaluation. Possible signs of dissociation. Isolation trauma. The last straw came the night Micah saw himself in the static. Not the girl. Not her room. His own bedroom, mirrored perfectly on the screen, with him sitting at the edge of the bed. Except the version in the TV was standing up, walking to the closet, reaching for something behind the coats. Micah turned. Nothing there. When he looked back, the static version of himself was smiling. He unplugged the TV that night. The next morning, it was back on. Volume maxed. Screeching static. A message scrawled across the condensation on the window above it. Let me in. Micah ran. Left the trailer barefoot in the snow, sprinted to the main road and flagged down a passing trucker. The man called the sheriff. They found his mom dead in her bedroom. No wounds. No trauma. Her eyes were wide open, staring straight ahead. The coroner said it looked like she'd died of fear. But the room was untouched. The TV was off. Unplugged. The cable had been cut. Micah went into state custody. Bounced around foster homes. Grew up quiet. Afraid of electronics. Never touched a screen unless he had to. He never spoke about the girl again. Until 2021. That year, he died by suicide. Left only one note. She still watches. She only needed me to turn it on once. A tech later found an old tape while clearing out Micah's final apartment. Labeled Channel 4, December 17th. They played it out of curiosity. The footage? Static for 38 minutes. Then at 38:01, a little girl appears. She walks slowly toward the camera, looks into the lens, and whispers something too soft to hear. But when they slowed it down, they swore, she said. You're next. Chapter 7. I'll be home before you know it. The last time I saw my dad, we were arguing in a hospital room. He had lung cancer. Stage 4. It was eating him alive. His voice was down to a whisper, barely loud enough to curse me when I told him I was leaving for college 2 days early. You can't handle watching someone die, huh? He said through gritted teeth. No, I replied. Not again. We didn't say goodbye. He died the next night. I didn't go to the funeral. My mom understood. My sister didn't. But 2 weeks later, when I finally turned my phone back on, there was a new voicemail. Timestamp, 2:17 a.m., the night he passed. The message was only 7 seconds. And it was his voice. Calm. Clear. Like it used to be. Hey, bud. I'll be home before you know it. Click. I sat in the dorm stairwell and cried for the first time since he died. I played it again. And again. And for some reason, every time I played it, I swore it sounded slightly different. Like he was closer to the mic. Like the message was moving toward me in tiny increments. I saved it, of course. Locked it in every backup. Uploaded it to Google Drive. Made copies. Even wrote it out by hand. But something was off. Because a month later, when I played it again, there was a new word at the end. Hey, bud. I'll be home before you know it, okay? I thought maybe I remembered it wrong. Until it changed again. By mid-November it said, Hey, bud. I'm heading home. I'll be there real soon. I played the saved files. The Google Drive versions. Even the USB backup. They all changed. All the same new version. Same tone. Same pause. Like something updated them all at once. I brought it up at Thanksgiving. My mom went pale. My sister told me I needed help. I played it for them. But when I pressed play, all they heard was static. I stopped playing it for anyone else. But I didn't stop listening. It kept changing. Sometimes the wording. Sometimes the sound quality. Once, I swear I heard footsteps in the background. A door creaking. Then a voice, not his, whispering. Leave the light on. I moved to Boston in 2019. Got a job. An apartment. A girlfriend. Life went on. I still had the voicemail. And now it said, I'm outside. Can you unlock the door? I blocked the number. Didn't matter. I started getting voicemails from unknown senders. Same voice. Same message. Different variations. I'm parked out front. Can you open the side gate? Let me in. It's cold out here. Always friendly. Always calm. Like he was trying to keep me relaxed. Trying not to spook me. Last year, I got a new phone. New number. I didn't back up anything. The voicemail still came. 1:17 a.m., July 9th. Hey, bud. I'm coming up the stairs. Don't freak out. I moved again. Different state. Went completely off the grid for 6 months. No social media. Cash only. I stayed in a cabin with no cell service. No voicemails came. Until I returned. First night back, I plugged my phone in. No new messages. But the next morning, there was a photo in my camera roll. Blurry. Taken at night. From a phone screen, like a shot through FaceTime. A close-up of my bedroom door. Caption. Almost home. This morning, I found a note on my pillow. My handwriting. But I didn't write it. Don't be scared. You just miss me. I've stopped checking voicemails. I turned my phone off at night. I even got rid of mirrors. But I still hear him. Sometimes from the hallway. Sometimes from inside the walls. Always that same warm tone. Hey, bud. I'm home. Chapter 8. What the fog took. No one remembers the town but me. It used to be called Merrill Bay. Population around 400. Fishing village tucked between cliffs and a jagged coastline, the kind of place that doesn't even get a dot on the weather radar. It had a single diner, one gas station, a post office that doubled as the general store. I worked at the school, a little two-room building that shared a wall with the library. The morning of October 23rd, a dense fog rolled in from the water. I remember because it came in wrong. Not in sheets or waves, not a creeping mist. It dropped, like a curtain falling. 1 minute the town was bright and brittle with autumn sun. The next, we were swallowed. At first, no one panicked. Fog was normal here. Happens all the time. What made this different was how it felt. You couldn't see more than a few feet, sure, but it also killed sound. Cars didn't hum. Boats didn't groan in the harbor. Even the gulls went silent. It was like someone had pressed mute on the world. That morning, I had 10 kids in my classroom. We were halfway through a spelling test when the power cut out. The emergency lights flicked on, and the fog outside the windows was thick enough to press against the glass. I told them it was just weather. Told them their parents would come soon. They didn't. By noon, the cell service dropped. No texts. No calls. I walked to the front door of the school and opened it. The air outside was heavy, wet, and completely still. But it didn't smell like fog. It smelled like earth. Like old dirt and something deeper. Something that hadn't been exposed to air in 1,000 years. Then I heard the first sound. A voice. Not shouting. Not calling for help. Whispering. From the fog. My name. I locked the door. Tried to stay calm for the kids. Told them it was just the wind. But every half hour or so, I'd hear something new. Knocking. Dragging. More voices. Always in threes. Tap. 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 Then, let us in. Tap. 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 Then, don't leave them alone. At some point, little Benji Langley asked if we were dead. He was 6. I told him no. But I wasn't sure. Then the children started disappearing. One at a time. It didn't make sense. There were no doors opening. No broken windows. They were just gone. I'd turn my back for a second, and a desk would be empty. No scream. No noise. Just an empty seat and a small pile of salt where their shoes had been. By 3:17 p.m., it was just me. And one student left. Her name was Kiara. She was 9. Red hair, glasses too big for her face. She didn't cry. Just stared out the fogged glass of the window like she was waiting for something she couldn't explain. At 3:34 p.m., she looked at me and said, "It doesn't want you." I asked her what she meant. Kiara tilted her head, like listening to something just behind her ear. Then she smiled. "You're the one who has to remember." Then she was gone. I didn't see her vanish. I just blinked. And she wasn't there anymore. Only her glasses remained. Bent slightly, lenses smeared. And behind her chair, written on the tile in what I swear was black moss. "Tell them." The fog lifted around 4 p.m. Just dissolved. Sunlight returned. Gulls cried overhead. A boat horn sounded in the harbor like nothing had happened. But the town was empty. Every building. Every street. Every car, still running with the door ajar. Everyone was gone. I walked the length of Main Street. Checked the diner, the post office, the pier. No blood. No signs of violence. Just stillness. And salt. Everywhere. Small piles of it. Perfectly placed. By doors. On windowsills. On beds and countertops. Like someone had tried to mark something. Protect something. But it hadn't worked. When I called the police, they didn't believe me. When the news came, they said the town had been abandoned years ago due to economic collapse. Merrill Bay was never on the map, they said. They couldn't explain the photos. Couldn't explain the power records, the water usage, the school reports. They said I was confused. Hallucinating. probably traumatized by isolation. They offered treatment. They offered silence. But I still hear them. Every October. When the fog comes heavy and the wind dies down, I hear them whisper again. All those people. All those voices. Asking me the same thing. Do they remember us yet? And I say no. Not yet. But soon.